Hi, welcome everybody. So, one of the questions that I have been noticing a lot lately from my clients is around deposit bonds. There seems to be a lot of confusion out there and no one really understands what they're about. So, instead of hearing it just from me, I've brought on an industry professional to be able to interview, be able to open up your eyes a little bit, shed some knowledge, and help you make some educated decisions. So, please welcome Etienne from Deposit Assure.
Thanks for inviting me along, Peter. I'm really excited to be discussing deposit bonds with you and your audience.
So Etienne, the biggest question I just keep getting is simply, what is a deposit bond?
That's the most common question and a good place to start. So a deposit bond is really like a guarantee. It's a guarantee for up to 10% of the purchase price. When your buyers are securing a property or a land purchase, they have to put down a deposit really to guarantee their commitment to an unconditional contract of sale. And so a deposit bond is used really, it's like an IOU that is given to the vendor to say, these guys are going to be good for the deposit, but it's going to come later at the time of settlement.
So is that like a swap? That's what people don't understand. So how is that different to paying a cash deposit?
Look, the people don't have access to the cash at the time. That's one of the most common reasons people use it. So it's like a cash deposit in the sense that it guarantees their commitment to the vendor, but the deposit's going to be paid at settlement. And that's the convenience. That's the problem it solves for, that it just holds them over for that period of time from exchange up to settlement.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things that I see is that it can be really scary for people to be paying that 10% up front and understanding that process and getting that money. So let's talk about how deposit bonds are able to be used and what type of people use them to their advantage to get into the property market.
It's a good question, Peter. So we see people really in two buckets. The most common scenario or the most common problems deposit bonds solve for is where people don't have immediate access to that cash deposit today. So if we think about it, so as you know, buying and selling, a lot of people who are buying and selling, whether they're upsizing or whether they're downsizing, the common thing is that their cash is locked up in the equity of their home that they're selling either simultaneously or plan to sell down the track. So a deposit bond can help solve for that.
I find also some people, they have their equity all tied up and it would be cheaper to get a deposit bond and having the interest being earned on their equity in the meantime. And it's a nice little safety net to have that there. You're not breaking into that equity until you really need to at settlement. Is that the type of client you also find coming in?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you've led into the next bucket. And the next bucket is where it solves for inconvenience. So whether it's financial inconvenience to take their equity out from somewhere else where it could be working harder for them, or perhaps it's even a timing inconvenience. And we know in this current climate, it can take a lot longer to draw down some equity on existing property than it used to. So a deposit bond can really be issued within a business hour in most cases. So it's really quick. But also, first home buyers, a lot of them are getting family guarantor loans through their broker and may not have enough cash saved up for the initial deposit. So a deposit bond can help them. Even retirees, people who have their money in super or their money in the home or their major home that they plan to sell down the track are also pretty common users for deposit bonds.
And one of the issues that I'm seeing at the moment with our current property market is we have a lot of off-the-plan purchases. And sometimes people don't want to have their 10% deposit sitting in a trust account for 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, and that sits in that second bucket of inconvenience. And a lot of people who buy off the plan use deposit bonds for that exact reason, Peter, because they don't want to lose their cash for such a long period of time doing nothing. So a deposit bond is a one-off fee. They pay it at the beginning, and it's really convenient for a lot of people where they're weighing up the opportunity cost of using cash versus a deposit bond. And especially the fact that we do have a refund policy where clients can get money back if it does settle earlier than the sunset date.
So obviously we've been able to establish some great advantages here, but most people would be saying, well, hold on, is it actually safe?
That's a really good question. So like I said in the beginning, it's a guarantee. Now a deposit bond is only as strong as the underwriter that backs that deposit bond. Our deposit bonds are backed by QBE Insurance, which is a well-known insurer, Australian trusted local insurer. And a deposit bond is basically secured on the basis that QBE will commit to be paying back the vendor that deposit if there's a rescission or a claim.
Yeah, recently, earlier this year, we had troubles with another deposit bond company that basically went into liquidation, and that caused a lot of stress and risk in our market. So obviously we want to make sure that our clients, our vendors, the purchasers are completely protected. What sets QBE apart from those other competitors to make sure that they are the safest option?
It's a very good question. What happened in our market earlier has, I guess, damaged the perception of deposit bonds because really, as I said, it's only as strong as the underwriter. So the reason QBE stands up is effectively for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's an Australian insurer. They've got a history of paying claims historically, usually within 24 to 48 hours. They're APRA regulated as well, which is really, really important. They're ASX listed. And they're also got an international credit rating, an A+ credit rating from the international credit ratings that are well respected. So it's their reputation that's on the line here, that when there's a claim, they're straight onto it and they pay it. Obviously, claims don't happen very often, but when they do, vendors want to know that they're going to get their money. Just like it was a tax deposit. That's right.
Yes. And they want a result quickly. They don't want to be having a fight to get paid their money. They're entitled to it, so they want to make it work. So in that respect, we should always be saying that if you're a vendor, only accept a deposit bond that's backed by QBE as well, to make sure that you know it's safe.
Yeah, and we are finding a lot of vendors and their legal reps are actually stipulating for a QBE backed deposit bond because of the security that a local insurer can provide. So that's something that we're definitely seeing in our marketplace.
Why don't you tell me when you think people should come and talk to me about finding out information on deposit bonds?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Normally, I guess, clients are really talking to real estate agents first. And, real estate agents may bring it up, but generally they don't. So generally, if you are lucky enough or you've got clients who involve you early in the piece, where they sort of say, hey, Peter, I'm really looking for this property or this land purchase. What do you think? If you guys have the opportunity to ask the question there, okay, how are you going to be paying for your 10% cash deposit? So I can sort of discuss it with the vendor. If you can find that out there, and if you find they have either difficulty getting access to it, or B, perhaps it's more financially convenient to use a deposit bond, that's when you can sort of recommend it during that process.
What about purchases that are going to an auction?
We do a lot of deposit bonds and we call them auction bonds. And auction bonds are almost like a blank check of up to 10% of the maximum bid price that the clients are going for. So it's pre-approved by QBE. And what that means is that they've got the convenience to use it over a period of 3 to 6 months in an auction market, if that's what they're doing. And during that time, most buyers are selling their own property that they've got on the market, but they've got a 10% that's ready to go the moment they're successful at auction. And of course, if they're successful in a private treaty, post-auction, pre-auction, they can use it as well.
That definitely creates a lot less stress, having that in your back pocket, knowing that you can go into negotiations with a house or bidding on the day of the auction. That's one less thing you have to think about. So that's actually probably my favorite part of one of the products too, is really eliminating that stress, taking away the emotion on the auction day. So you're not worried about where you've got to get money for the deposit. You just need to focus on your game day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what we recommend always is check with the vendor, check through your conveyancer to make sure that a deposit bond by QBE will be accepted, so that there are no surprises on the day of auction. But it is a valuable tool that gives them that convenience to be able to bid confidently in that market.
Amazing. So team, great having Etienne on board, and we've really discovered today, broken down some of those questions that you've been hitting me with. And of course, anytime you've got any more questions about deposit bonds, please just reach out, have a chat to me. We can help you with all of that. But thank you very much for coming on board and explaining that.
Look, you're so welcome, and I really hope that added some value to your audience, and keep up the good work. I love watching all your videos.
Thank you. No gizmo today, but soon.